Even though he did live here, he graduated from Pullman High School.
Nelson.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, Wednesday, September the 11th, 2024. First item on the agenda is the approval of the August 28th minutes, 2024. Did you all get a chance to look at those, mint them over?
Yep. Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
And I have a second by Joel. Roll call right now, right? Scott?
Aye.
I
Aye.
Aye.
Joel? Rob?
I
Sue?
should abstain, I wasn't there.
You sustain, okay. All those and all the ayes. So that's off. Number 2, public comment. This is where we give the public a time limit of 15 minutes where they can come and speak to the commission regarding matters not on the agenda tonight or currently pending before the Planning and Zoning Commission. No one in the audience, so we will just invite you to come down if you ever have anything to say. First and third Mondays, right? Right, is that right? First and third
Second
Monday?
and fourth Wednesday.
Oh, second and fourth Wednesday, sorry, wrong commission, sorry. Second and fourth Wednesdays.
You give yourself
I think he
a
already-
raise.
Yeah, I
Promoted
wish.
himself to city
I
council.
wish. Okay, and now on to number 3, where we will have the update and discussion on Moscow Affordable Housing Trust Project from Nels Peterson.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah.
And thank you all for having me back. It's always fun to come every, whatever it is, 12 to 18 months and share what's going on with you. Let's see if I can master all of this technology. First, we're going to start with shameless advertising. On October 5th, it's a little small. The thing on the left is there's a homeownership resource fair. Will be at the Gladish from 1 to 4 on Saturday, October 5. And then I want to invite you to 2 events here in Moscow. 427 Powers Avenue is 2 twin homes funded with federal money that are on the site that we're developing. And then 430 East Palouse River Drive on the subsequent Saturday. So this is a bookending a week, is the number 3 house by the University of Idaho architecture students. All right, so hopefully you will come out to see one or both of those.
And go back, say time again.
Time for Powers Avenue is 1 to 3 on Sunday afternoon. So you can go to church first. And then on Saturday, the 19th, it's 10 to 2.
Thanks.
All right, this may be a review for you, but maybe there's some folks out there in TV land. Let me just really quickly go over how a community land trust works mechanistically. You have the house in orange and the land in green. We separate those 2 legally. We sell the house and we retain permanent ownership of the land. We discount the value of the house nominally by the value of the land. And that is the strategy for creating affordability, is by lowering the price, by taking piece out of the puzzle. There's a lease that connects the house and the land. The lease runs for 99 years. It's inheritable. And it has 3 really important provisions in it from my standpoint. You got to live in the house. You cannot buy the house, move out, turn it into an Airbnb. You got to sell to another income qualified buyer. It's kind of a pay it forward kind of idea. You got in because you had a moderate income. You sell it to somebody who has a moderate income. The way we make that work, and you're going to see coming up in the example, the way we make that work is there is a formula that controls the maximum sale price. If you think, and we're going to see this, if the price, our market inflated like 14% in the last 3 years. Wages did not inflate 14%. Wages may be inflated 2% a year. So if it's going to remain, it was affordable. If it's going to remain affordable, the price has to go up slowly. We want a return on investment, but not fast. Okay, this is exciting because this is the time where I get to tell you a real live story with actual dollar numbers in it. Some of you may have attended the open house in the spring of 2020, just before COVID shut down the world. It's a 3 unit townhouse on Southview Avenue. In May 2020, we sold one of those units for $159,000. The orange bar goes with the house. The appraised value for that sale was $202,000. Doing the math, the community's asset was worth $43,000. That's surprisingly close to the $40,000 the federal government put in to make it work. So there you go. We have an appraised value in May 2020, and we have a sale price and a community asset. That was buyer number one. Back in February, buyer number one calls me up and says, hey, I want to sell my house. How much can I get? So, well, the formula is going to tell us how much it appreciated. The maximum sale price rose. Of course, you've paid down some on your mortgage. So the formula appreciation over the 4 years was $29,000. It's got a couple of elements in it. There's a flat inflation plus some of the seller's closing costs get paid by the buyer. And the way they do that is they just raise the price some. And the buyer also can get 50% of the capital approved by us capital improvements that they do. Those houses were interesting. Nell's the half-built house idea, I think it comes out of somewhere in South America. We did not finish the master bathroom. We roughed everything in, we floored it, we painted it, but we did not put in the fixtures. And the idea was that what didn't exist as a bathroom from an appraisal standpoint. I was trying to force down I'm always trying to lower the price. It drives my realtor just wacky. At any rate, this woman had finished that bathroom, put in the shower, put in a sink, put in a toilet, put in a vanity and other stuff. So she got part of that showed up in this formula appreciation. She was very aggressive at paying on her mortgage. She understood that in those early years, paying another $100 knocks it down fast. So she had paid down the mortgage substantially. At the time of the phone call, I had no idea what the community asset was worth, which is why I show it in white here. Okay. So she's going to get $29,000 from appreciation, maximum of that, the maximum sale price. And she's also going to go home with the $17,000 that she paid down, her own money. That gives us the new sale price. $159 from the original plus $29 from the appreciation. Gives it to $178. Remember, this is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1-car garage townhouse. That was a hell of a price. Mm-hmm. And importantly, it shows that it didn't go crazy. We know what real estate prices did here from before COVID to now. This went up, but it didn't go up crazy. That house appraised at $275,380. That's what truly happened in the market, right? So when you do the math, the 275 minus the 178, the community asset grew. Another way that community land trusts are described as shared asset models. So we're shared equity. She got equity, we got equity in a rising market. Okay? So that was what buyer number 2 paid $178, and that sale is closed and everything is happy. Now, all of that talk is in the blue box. What happens if the next 4 years the market is flat? 0 appreciation. The formula says the allowable price could still go up by $29,000, the maximum increase. We don't know how the next buyer will pay down their mortgage. They may or may not pay down the 17 again. I just brought those over. 275 is the flat appraised value, right? From August 2024 to August 2028, no change in appraised value. The maximum sale price rose to 207. It'll sell for that, even in what had been a flat market, because it's appraised at 275. So somebody will say that's a heck of a steal. But what happened to the community asset? The community asset went down. The way that the buyer got some appreciation in a flat market was the community asset. It's just a number on our books. it went up, it went down. We'll own the land even if it goes to zero. So it doesn't worry me, but it tells you how the money moves back and forth, either in the rapidly rising scenario, the part in blue, we took a bunch of the appreciation and stored it, and the buyer got some, or the owner got some. And in the flat market example, we gave up some so that the buyer got some. Question?
I have a question.
If you
Sushi.
look at the, I get, oh, excuse me, go ahead.
I have my hand.
Go ahead, Sue.
So when the community asset is 97,000, the trust doesn't ever borrow against that or take like the difference to invest in another house. So you just, that land just stays the way it is.
I don't think there's any way to get at it. It's
Okay.
sitting under somebody's house. If
Okay.
we were to take a loan against the dirt under their house and then lost that loan for some reason, that would be very awkward.
I see. Okay,
So it's
it
it's a
stays.
paper number. It goes up and down.
okay.
I don't even have a real way that it shows up on our books from the accountant's standpoint because he doesn't want to deal with it. So it just sit there at 43 from his
I
perspective.
see. Okay.
But yeah, it's money in a sense, but it's not money in a very operative sense.
Okay.
Nels,
I just
No.
presume that the way the house has been maintained, inside and out, is taken care of in the appraised value, huh? In other words, people can see that. We don't have to, because as you start doing this social game,
correct. So
the ability to maintain, I don't know what it's on my mind particularly today because I own an old Pioneer house and the county owns an old Pioneer house, i.e. the mansion. And I've been working my butt off for the last 20 years, 40 years, trying to keep mine from falling apart. And the county has not, and if you walk by the mansion recently, you see it's falling apart. And it's like, wow. And of course, we're not selling the mansion to anybody, so you don't see it. But the maintenance thing, as time goes by, just comes to
Sure.
my head.
So a couple of thoughts about that. One, the definition of affordable is that you are paying, and the feds have slipped this around a little bit, no more than 35% of your gross income on your housing costs, so PITI. The goal being that you're not house poor, that you have some cash flow, and therefore could do some things to maintain it. So that's one. Two, we give you credit near the time of sale for some of that capital investment. You get a chance to recoup it in the sale price. So let's say you're getting close, you think I'm going to sell next year or the year after, we need a roof. Let's put a roof on. At sale time, you'll get half the value of that added to the value of the house. So that's a way to help the owner stay bought into keeping it up. Our job, what I've come to understand, the land trust's real job is to steward the house. It doesn't help the community to have some dirt. What helps the community is to have a good house standing on the dirt.
Right, exactly.
So stewarding that, and these folks have the disadvantage that their house is between my house and my office. So they get drive-bys on a very regular basis. But land trusts go and look at their properties on a regular basis and have conversations with owners about, start to plan to put a roof on, look at the paint on the south side, it's having problems, those sorts of things, to try to cajole them into maintaining. And then your point, the appraised price will go down if It hasn't been maintained.
Right,
We know
right,
that. That's how the market works, right? If the appraised price went low enough, you would not get that $29,000 bump is not guaranteed. That's a maximum that it can be. So if you really let the thing go to pot, you wouldn't get the 29. So all of those things are, we hope, working to maintain the property. Other questions before we move on?
Have you guys had to tweak this any at all, or is it just, you just come out like this from the gate and it's just worked?
There's been 50 years of tweaking before me.
Yeah?
It's the land trust movement is 50 some years old now. And there are a couple of recommended formulas, and there's a boilerplate of what the ground lease should look like and a whole bunch of things. If you use the boilerplate structure and the key elements, then Fannie Mae will approve it and buy the loan. And so banks can put it into the secondary market. It's an established mechanism at this point. There's a Northwest Regional Coalition of the land trusts. We get together once a year to swap war stories, and so it's a real movement.
Wow.
It's just novel over here. Okay.
Any other questions?
This isn't a question, but I just wanted to say is back when you and I were both on P and Z and Nels and Joel, I talked about up in the Silver Valley, them doing this, starting to do this. That was way back when. And, you keep planting seeds and sooner or
Yeah.
later.
So if there was an attempt in the Silver Valley, there's currently no land trust there that I'm aware
Yeah,
of.
there was an attempt, but
There's none in Spokane. You'd think there would be one in Spokane. There've been multiple attempts and it hasn't gotten the right traction somehow. So, at any rate, onward. Let's talk about money for a minute. Area median income is, there's both the sense that you might have of it. You look in Wikipedia and say, what's the median income in Latah County? And you get a single number. HUD does a different thing. HUD calculates this number and calculates a table of numbers and gives it to us annually. So the 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 is percent of what they're calling area median income. But then you'll notice that they jigger it for household size. That's why the number that you would single number for Latah County is not this. And if you look down that column, they're given about what, 5,000, and the 60% AMI column, for example, maybe 5,000 for each additional household member. In other words, they're recognizing that it does cost more to sort of be at the same point of wealth or poverty. It takes more money if you have a larger household, more mouths to feed, more clothes to wash, all the things that go up. It doesn't double, we know that, but it does go up some. Okay, so these are the income numbers that I'm working with. And what I want you to look at those numbers and think, as an employer, do you have employees who are paid in those ranges? Yes, you do. Does the city have employees paid in those ranges? Yes, they do. The school district, one of our owners is a teacher at Moscow School District. One is a media graphics guy for University of Idaho. One works at Home Depot in Lewiston, hopes to transfer up here. One is a postdoc researcher at WSU. These are real jobs in our community that we really want, and they earn wages in that table. So what does that mean in terms of their buying power? The second table, and it's orange because remember, they're only buying the house, not the land. A stack of assumptions go into this, but using the CLT model, so we're pulling out the land, using 35%, what the lenders call debt to income, 35% of the gross income as their PITI, 6.5% interest. Every time I do this, I want to should I change that number up or down? And then a land lease. Remember I said there's a lease that connects the trust to the house, and that lease rate is $75 a month. It can't be high. If it were high, it wouldn't be affordable. And then in the Paradise View subdivision that you're going to go to the 2 open houses coming up, shameless promotion, there's a $25 a month HOA fee. Just want to have a base so that they have some resource to, if they need to plow the snow once or need to do something, there's a little kitty. It's not to maintain the houses. It's not to put roofs on. It's just a little kitty to let the group be an organization. Okay, so with those assumptions across the bottom, 60% AMI, one-person household can buy a $135,000 house. Now, you've all looked in the newspaper and you know there are no $135,000 houses. I'll do that to help you read. The 2 diagonals separate the $100,000 brackets from the $200,000 from the $300,000. Just to give you an idea, so a larger household with a higher AMI gets you into the higher priced houses, but none of those houses are for sale in Moscow. You might at the 340 level start to find something. Somewhere in there, you'll find some double wides. I'm trying to be under 200,000. And you can see why.
It sure is a weird world, Nels.
It's a weird world, exactly. All right, so the house that we just sold for 178, their household income's a pinch below 185. So they're in this table as a 2-person household. Okay. We're going to talk about another example. I've got a U of I long-term employee who really needs to own a house, but can't buy from the trust because she's at 100% AMI. And we've only been serving up to 80% AMI because there's a variety of grants and other resources, including a grant from the city that's capped at 80% AMI. So it's a kind of a, can we figure out how to go above that? How does the money work? And that's the wage that goes with that 271, okay? So we're gonna come back to this puzzle. Let's look at, again, the October 13, the twin homes that you're going to come out and see. Cost to purchase, plat the subdivision, 17 lots is about $60,000 I've got into each lot at this point. Rich is looking at that going, oh, wow, that was a discount. 2-bath, 1-bed house, 680 square feet. It is going to sell for $199,888. I didn't make that number up. The government people made that number up for me. I would never have come up with that number. And then there will be financial assistance for qualified buyer because we're going to go back. 199,888 is in that kind of across straddling that bar into the middle of the $200,000 range. And we're going to have a harder time finding a buyer than if we can get some additional financial assistance from the Fed for our buyer. And these are your tax dollars at work, by the way. Here's the piece that Rich is laughing at me for. New construction, $248,000 for the house, so it's $365 a square foot. Killed me. I went out to bid, best price I could get. I could make the money work in Boise. The bottom circle. So we sell, it costs us $248 to build. We sell it for $199. $50,000 of subsidy goes into the project, not the land, but into the improvements. That's a problem. $50,000 slows me down because I have to find that $50,000 every house. So my goal is to get that number down. So just updating you, the status of completing this Paradise View subdivision over there on Nursery Street and East Plush River Drive. 2 houses are done, University of Idaho student houses number 1 and 2. We have 5 houses almost for sale now. They will be the subject of these open houses. The twin homes for $199,888, and we don't yet have pricing for the University of Idaho house, but it's got to be in the same range because affordability. So it'll be there somehow. If you know somebody who needs to buy one of these, they should contact my realtor, Tammy Quezada, Team Idaho. 2 more houses are about to start. Tomorrow morning, I go out to meet with the excavator for U of I house number 4. It will be the same 24 by 36 rectangle. That's all I know. After that, the students will encounter a rectangle and they'll have to design a house. And then the other really interesting story. Habitat approached my board a year ago. And they said, we can't find any land to build on in Moscow. Can we build on your land? And we said, sure. We understand working with contractors. You're a contractor. And you will do a land trust house. You won't sell it ground to sky. You'll sell just the improvements and we'll own the land. But yes, we'll let you do that. We'll work with you to get that done. So those 2 houses I know are going to start digging before the snow flies. My own projects, I have got a hang up on some of the funding for the 4 lots on Nursery Street. The University of Idaho wants to do their House 5 and House 6 in subsequent years. They're doing one a year because they're in the education business, not in the house building business. And then Habitat has requested the last 2 lots on that site. So we could conceivably by 2026 have the whole thing built out, all 17 houses.
Was
Go ahead.
the land, that Nursery Street land, a different piece of finance than what the university is building their houses on? Or how? I'm really, I can't seem to figure out why you've done these other 2 houses and why the difference between the way you feel about them, just looking at what the university's doing and what these more simplified houses, I guess, that you've built, caused me to wonder how to explain it all.
Right. Explain it like it's eclectic, like the Fort Russell. And different builders did different things. The students are able to bring things to a project that are in some sense impractical, but are made practical by student labor and extra energy and donated love and a bunch of stuff like that. So their houses have some different turns and twists to them. But for me, it's a little bit like when you're the person with the budget and everybody has a key to the copier. Making sure that the students don't go too far over budget in there, because budget is not something that seems to constrain them very much.
No, I never did.
Right. So at any rate, but it's wonderful. I'm not contending. It's just like every once in a while I worry about things because it's like, what are we doing there? So the whole, it looks like a city block on a map. Powers Street, Nursery Street,
Right,
Pluse River
right.
Drive. That was a single purchase and was financed by a loan from Banner Bank. Thank you, Banner. And then we have paid that loan off over time. One of the sweet things about the way Banner structured the loan, we could pay off lots rather than making a payment until we got down to paid off. This way I could pay off one lot and walk on the property, start digging holes. But we bought it just at the same time we were doing the 3-unit townhouse. And then COVID hit and that threw every big wrench in everything. So delayed it in terms of timing of getting it done. I hope to be done 2 years earlier than the schedule thinks we will be. Okay. Here is the question. That is the fun. If we could answer that question in the affirmative, or how to do it in the affirmative, we could make more affordable housing faster. Oh, crap. Oh, no. I blew it. Sorry. I bought you each that book, and it is sitting at home in a bag to be brought here for this meeting tonight so that I could hand each one of you one of those books. So I'm going to have to give them to Mike, and Mike will have to get them to you. It's a really interesting book. I was excited enough about it to think that I should buy each one of you one of them. There are 3 big sections to explaining how we got into this mess and a hypothesis for how we get out. There's a whole series of banking causes, most simply understood as we view housing as an investment.
Yeah.
All of us want our house value to go up, and the banks want our house value to go up, and our retirement fund wants our house value. The whole system is built on inflating house prices. That kind of works in the opposite direction from giving everybody shelter.
Mhm.
It tends to price people out of shelter. So the first section of the book looks at banking causes. The second section is part of the book that you might want to look at more carefully. It looks at land use causes. Zoning sorts of things and historic choices about how we have organized our land use. And then the third, he says we can't broadly fix those first 2 things. Local communities, what could they do on their own, maybe more rapidly than they could change their zoning codes, and certainly more rapidly than we can change the banking system. 2 big ideas. No neighborhood should experience radical change, but no neighborhood can be exempt from change. His idea here is you've got a neighborhood that is already older, let's say. If you go in and drop in a giant apartment building, it will have negative effects on all of the little houses that are left behind, because people will say, I'm not going to put money into my house. I'm going to wait for a speculator to buy it and make the big money selling the house. So the neighborhood goes down the drain because there is a new apartment building. Whereas if the houses that were there maybe became duplexes, maybe one of them burned and we took the next one and we built a 4-plex. In other words, we built up the texture of the neighborhood incrementally. No radical change, but incremental changes. Then the value of the neighborhood, and people go, well, I think I'll spruce up my house. It's a reasonable neighborhood and it's on the up and up. And I could divide mine into a duplex. And so it goes up slowly, and it goes up with, importantly, lots of local money. Local people saying, I could do that. There's enough equity, I could borrow that, and I could make an ADU on the side here or whatever. So, but on the other hand, if you have a neighborhood that is exempt from change, then it's frozen in time. It can never do any of those things. And I'm going to say to you, that's R1 and R2 in Moscow. And I'm not focused on the lot size. I have beefs about the lot size, but the fact that what they can be is single family residential. I appreciate the idea of adding an ADU. That's a step. That was an important step that we took a while ago, but we can't do anything else. So the book argues for ideas to change zoning to allow more incremental development, repurpose extra empty bedrooms, ADUs, conversions to duplex, and infill. I will give Mike the link to this article. The folks on Whidbey Island are getting pretty aggressive about converting spare bedrooms into small, sort of less than ADUs, hot plate, and a bathroom kind of spaces. But Whidbey Island is obviously constrained in terms of where people can build and what can be built. And so they're trying to find new ways to make niches and fit people in. So that's an interesting little article. working with small amounts of money on the low end. Where's a fix that we could do or somebody individually could do? But it's going to require a certain amount of flexibility on the zoning side to do that. This one is another example that I'm going to work you through. You may have seen it, 845 East 8th Street. It's on the market right now for $415,000. The lot size is 14,980.
Uh-huh.
It's in R2 zone. A 7,000 square foot lot is the minimum lot in R2 zone. I bought that house. The land trust does not have the money to play this game, does not have the kind of cash. I have the ability to borrow some money. I bought that house. And I intended, here's the neighborhood. Maybe you know the water tower. It's kind of in the middle of the block over there. And look at all the funny lot sizes in here.
That's Larry Lucas's house.
Is it Larry Lucas? I don't know.
Huh.
Adele Gale is the person selling it. As you go to the right to the east, it gets more regular. As you go to the west, you get all sorts of lots carved out of lots and other sorts of solutions. So this is a pretty big lot and not carved up. Now, a piece that you need to know that I've come to know, and I spent some time at the last Northwest Coalition, Land Trust Coalition meeting. There's a company out of Bend, Oregon called Simplicity Homes. You may have heard of their parent company. It's called Hayden Homes. Hayden Homes builds subdivisions. They build on the order of 50 house minimum order kind of things. They buy windows by the railroad carload. They build to a certain set of plans and only those plans, but they are able to build a set of their plans with considerable efficiency. The thing that Hayden Homes discovered was that people would come to see one of their open houses and say, I love this house. Would you build it on my land? And the answer was no. No, we'll build 50 for you, but we won't build one for you. We're not organized to build one.
Right.
So they said, we should have a subdivision that is organized, of our corporation, that is organized to build one, that takes advantage of all of the scale, economies of scale of the parent, but does one-offs from our plan book. It's only from our plan book. And their plan book anticipates flat lots. Flat lot. You can see the foundation on the house from the front corner to the back corner maybe is a foot of drop. So it's a pretty easy. At any rate, so I went in their plan book and I picked the Austin model, 3-bed, 2-bath. And then it says, would you like to price this house? So you click, heck yeah, I'd like the price on this house. And they will tell you a price that they will contract to build that house for. Here's the lot division sketch. This is as far as Amy and I got. There's the new lot containing the existing house, and I think the garage will be on it. This isn't surveyed. This is me and my daughter and a tape measure. But it was close enough that I was sure that the existing house was going to be inside the lot and I'd have setback and on the side and the back, and that I could put in that Austin house down here, fit inside the setbacks of the new lot. Here's how the money worked. Buy that house and lot for $415,000, and that's a value that's going to appraise. So I'm going to be able to get a loan on it. It's not inflated in some way by knowing it has extra land. Lot split costs, I figure, are going to run about $10,000 in engineering money to Hodge and hearing over here to get it split, et cetera. The Austin house, $223,000 is $209 a square foot. Remember, I just paid $350 a square foot for a house. This house is a little bit bigger and $100 cheaper.
And remind us, is this going to be, is the theory that this will be built somewhere and trucked in, or is this going to be built on site?
It's mostly built on site. And this price includes them doing the foundation, and it includes them pulling the utilities up to 50 feet to get to the building. But it's going to have to be on this side of the curb for them to start their 50 feet. So then I'm going to have, their price does not include the permits to the city or the hookup fees. I'm going to have general facility charges for sewer and water and those sorts of things.
Just for water.
In my mind, I carry the hookup sewer and water, that number of 10,000 in my head. A little higher, a little lower, but it's close enough. So I figured that would probably get us there. Transaction cost to sell both houses, about 30,000, 25, 26,000 to the realtor to just unload the old house, the 415 house. And then, remember I told you this is person that I'm going to for sale by owner to, somebody that I know works for the U of I, 100% AMI, can't buy one of our houses, needs to buy a house. She needs an accessible house with wider doors and da-da-da. So I think I can get it sold for 30. Total cost to be recovered in selling the second house, 278. And household income of 75. You want to go back to that chart and see where it lands? This is going to be affordable to that person earning 100% AMI household of 2.
So who's going to keep the land?
So I'm going to flip the land to the land trust. My board doesn't know that. Now they maybe do. Maybe they do now. So my goal is to be out of it unharmed financially. In and out of the house, build a second house, get out of that.
Go back to your plan, back up to your plan.
That one?
Did you have, I was just a little bit worried about the setback over on the, I don't know what direction that is, that narrow setback.
North is up. So east side, 5 foot. Did I get
I
it
see.
right, Mike?
Yeah, 5 feet.
Mhm.
Yeah, I sat with Amy till I got it right.
Does that say alley? Is that the thing that goes to the water tower?
That thing is the alley that goes to the water tower, but it is not a public use right of way.
Right.
But it's a quiet neighbor.
It's a flagged lot then,
So it's a flag lot, right?
right?
Right. So it comes down on the east side. If we go back.
Ooh, is it 154 feet on the flag? I thought it's only allowed to be
It
150.
says less than that.
Oh, less than,
Right. So the garage would be on the old lot and the flagpole would run down the side of the garage there.
okay.
So I'm hoping the fire truck could come down the alley if there's a fire. I didn't get as far as the fire marshal yet. Okay. There's the money work. This project did not go forward. I had a signed purchase agreement and I was doing my due diligence and I backed out. I thought the money worked, but I backed out. There was a lot split to the west. Oh, let's see if I can do this, Mike. Oh yeah, see this?
Yeah, that's Larry.
Nice new house here on 0020. Somebody somehow must have decided something wasn't quite right. You see that double property line? Whoop. No, I can't do this, Mike. I'm not that smart. Right
Yeah.
there. When I got out with my tape to find the 92 feet, 30.37, wasn't there. It's like 18 inches short of there. The neighbor's driveway was one edge and the city's alley was the other edge. And I thought, I don't want to own this and pay for a survey and find it isn't there. Because then it's going to get dicier to make this work. Okay? Just one of the due diligence issues of older properties. It's fine. It's part of the job. Here's the other issue. The sewer line, the existing sewer line for the house got rebuilt by the current owner, doing a pipe burst and whatnot. 300 feet long. It diagonals that red line across the property, might go through where I want to put a house.
Hmm.
And then it runs down all the way behind the city water tower to hit a sewer line down in the back.
Hmm.
There is no sewer in 8th Street in this section. There is no way to go forward. There's sewer. Oh, that'll do. There is sewer about at the 8 in 8th Street. That's the last manhole. So then my question is, and it's 9 feet deep. Can I start from in the back of this lot? And in 9 feet minus 3 feet of cover and can I get to the sewer? I don't think so. And can I replumb and do where to go? Back up. Can I take the sewer? It comes out of the side of this house. I don't think so. And it's a basement, so I can't take the sewer diagonally across. It's up this high where it goes out of the building. So it's like, I'm stuck. And I never got an answer from city engineering. May I please put another sewer line across your property? I mean, the first one was kind of there, right? It was a 100-year-old sewer line and the city was stuck with it and they rehabbed it. But can I add another one to? So all of those things led me to back out of this deal. So I'll put up my shameless advertising plug and take your questions.
So, Dennis, could I,
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
in looking at future projects, I've been surprised to see the cost of some of the lots exceeding $100,000, maybe $130,000 or $140,000 for a lot. And I guess it's for a single family, but how is that impacting, how is the property cost impacting what you're doing?
You can't build a $200,000 house on a $130,000 lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, and so I need some way for that land to be cheaper. Buying in bulk and becoming a land developer is a risky but a possible strategy. Here, I was trying to find an opportunity that the current owner hadn't realized and get a lot for free by splitting it off of a house that I could then resell. It's a real problem. I know of 2 lots under 80,000 in Moscow. Each is quite challenging. And I don't think there's anything at 100. I think you start at about 110 and go up to maybe 145. If it's bigger and got a great view, you might go higher than 145. So that's a problem.
Crazy,
But
crazy.
I can tell you how it gets there, and Rich will back me up. Wide street sections with wide sidewalks and wide tree lawns costs a lot of dirt. And then a 50 or a 60-foot wide frontage, that whole area has to be paid for by 2 lots. So that's one of the challenges is the current specs for streets are lovely, but they're expensive.
Also, water, when I had to put another water line in when we sold our business, and we're in the same building, but we had to put in a separate water line, and that was going to be $5,000 just from the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From
right.
half
So,
the
so
sidewalk in.
there are real challenging costs, a few of which you might be able to nudge a little bit in one way or another. But if you're going to dig up the sidewalk on Main Street and out into Main Street, and some contractor's going to charge you for that.
But I wasn't even going to dig up the street. It was just from the sidewalk.
Just out in the sidewalk. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
But anyway, I'm just saying those costs, and especially those costs of running electricity, running plumbing, running sewer are really big, expensive chunks that have
They are
nothing to
big,
do with the
expensive
price of the
chunks, yeah.
land. I mean, the dirt.
Right. Tried to buy a house that had burned. I figured the sewer and water hadn't burned, and so I was on this side of the curb with all of those things, but it didn't work.
Were you gonna go back to the chart and show how that,
But you want to see where that buyer would have
I wanna see
landed
how it fit
or
in.
where that house? Okay, so there, we're going to go look for those two numbers back here. There they are, income of 75 and a house price. So that's a U of I employee who can't buy a house and needs to get a house that's single level wheelchair. And a personal friend, which is why I decided I'm going to go down this road and see if I can't make it work. If you want to, I'll give you everything I know. The house is still for sale. You could sell the house, the second house, for more than I could, because you're not trying to make it affordable. You might be able to make it pencil, but you still got to get that sewer solved.
Good.
The one comment and a question, I don't know if you remember Morshak, Bill Morshak used to be on P&Z. Do you
I know the
remember
name,
him?
but I don't remember.
And he
Bill.
used to dream about a subdivision with narrow streets. And for that matter, maybe even a little gravel, just speaking to your, by the time you make a raceway out of it and make it 38 feet wide, so everybody in the world can park on it and have a nice sidewalk. We're in a different world, aren't we? Yeah.
I like
so
Hayes
here-
from
Go ahead.
Hayes from 6th South to 8th.
No.
My favorite street.
The
Because
pathway.
that would have to be, if you built that today, you'd have to do it as a private street. And then neighbors would all be in the business of paying to maintain it and everything else. Yeah, sorry.
'Cause if you think about Fort Russell was mostly 80-foot right-of-ways. South of 6th was narrower for sure, wasn't it? Don't you think?
There's still quite a few 80s.
Are there
you know,
still
some
quite a few
side
80s?
streets are 60, like 7th and 8th, I think, are 60, but like Logan is, I think, probably 80 still.
So, Nels, here was a bigger, broader question.
Okay.
When you've met with people here in the Northwest, where is it that somebody's having some more success with this? Where do you see pockets of success with this housing issue that you've been working with?
State of Washington, because they'll give you a wad bigger wad of money for subsidy.
Because they're rich, I
Or they
guess.
tax themselves or do
And
something.
they're,
Yeah.
it is a bit of a blue state, isn't it?
It is a blue state.
Uh,
But on the west side, they might, you saw I put in a $40,000 subsidy in the example that I walked through. They might put in $200,000 subsidy because you can't get, their wages aren't that much higher for the low end of the spectrum. And you just can't get a house for, it's nothing at $500,000. So it takes a bigger subsidy to get people into a house.
Yeah, it just reminds us of how we may have 50 United States, but it almost seems like 50 little countries, just having just sold property in California in the last 2 years here. Just going to California freaks you out.
It's another country.
Let alone trying to do business there. Yeah, it's a whole different world.
So I have a question for Mike. With this infrastructure bill giving money to the states and the cities, could the city extend the sewer on 8th Street so that it could be done? So houses could hook up?
Extend the sewer so Nils's project could work.
Yeah, well, you said there was way far away, but you know, and there's 100-year-olds. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
not
think it's a
just,
lot more
it wouldn't be
priorities,
just
yeah.
Nels's project, but
I-
I'm just saying, if you've got weird sewer directions, I know the city was sending out survey saying, you know, when did you last have your water pipes done or whatever, or what are your stuff, you know, and the city's been trying to replace the horse trough sewers and the clay sewers but I'm just thinking down around 8th Street, that whole area of town, I remember there was problems with flooding and stuff down there and all infrastructure issues. And I'm just wondering if there would be infrastructure money to fix some of those things.
Well, we have the capital improvement plan, so I think Joel had mentioned that maybe at the last meeting about bringing that and having I think Cody's back up, maybe have a presentation that just kind of covers what's in the capital improvement plan. But yeah, usually all the infrastructure that is on a list of priorities to be replaced is on there. I think there's a lot more dire needs than just, you know, extending a line to be able
Well,
to gravity, because presumably all the houses that are already on the street have sewer connections. It's just, you know, maybe-
Did the city get a good chunk of infrastructure money?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
One, well, I have another, we've talked a couple times, I've asked you about modular type of units. Have you, in your work and research and talking to people, have you ever run into any real success story with the modular idea? And I mean, the dream of going into a factory and building these with all the water and electrical stuff already built in, and then just bringing the pod out and gluing it into place seems like a really cool idea. And yet the people I know that are involved with Mercer and these people who build these things, they all seem to be market value and higher, not market value and lower. You know, it doesn't seem like they're exciting, and you can build a house in a record amount of time. It isn't a bunch of 2x4s and shotguns, but it just doesn't seem like there's any light at the end of the tunnel for affordability. I've just wondered if you've run into anything that seems more affordable.
I've explored it. I toured the factory in Caldwell, who has a sales representative down in Lewiston, down by the casino. You've probably seen, they both sell modular and manufactured mobile units. I think it was not a steal. The prices might have been a bit better. Some amount of complexity, and they're also like Henry Ford, any color as long as it's black. I tried to make a twin home out of two of their units. The floor plans would have married up plenty fine. And I said, so we'll need, and I was meeting with our building official. We called them at the factory. Well, we need the 2-hour firewall. Well, how do you build that? Well, you use shaft liner. There is no shaft liner in the factory. We can't build with a material that is not already in the factory. Okay, well, there's a way to do it with layers of 5/8 sheetrock, and we know you've got sheetrock in the factory. Okay, they agreed. And then on the roof, when you bring on a twin home, when you bring two separate things together, at the the property line, you have to have 4 feet on each side. I'm just doing a simple gable. 4 feet on each side of fire-resistant plywood. Not in the factory. So I couldn't do twin homes from that product. Another challenge is it's got to go down the highway, which has kind of got a width constraint and a height constraint on it. And so I wasn't able to find a solution. And that's why I was thrilled to find the Simplicity Home guys. They're stick builders, but it's a crew who's built this 10 times already. If you want to see some down in Clarkston, up by the aquatic center. So it's kind of in the back corner of Clarkston,
Yeah.
just down the hill a little bit. It's a collection of about 20 small houses that are rentals. And there's a little sea of parking lots around them and stuff. And that's a Simplicity project.
Wow.
And I got a peek into one of those. The Austin, I actually was able to tour it, an example of it in Walla Walla. And they seem like solid houses. They don't seem flimsy. They seem to be, well built. And they just are highly organized to do this one thing, and window sizes are fixed, and you can choose your kind of appliances. There's a few choices, but there's not a lot that you can vary in that product. But that helps them keep their costs down.
Anyone else got anything for? Very interesting,
Yeah.
the whole
thanks, Tim.
presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
I
for coming.
appreciate the
Yeah,
chance
thank
to
you.
come and
I have a question.
show and tell.
Yeah, go ahead. Victoria?
So we heard tell in the paper and I think at council, the county was thinking about trying to come up with some kind of affordable housing project. I'm sure they're in very early stages and looking, but have they talked to you?
Housing Authority is what I hear Kathy
Okay.
talking about.
Is it
A housing authority is a quasi-governmental entity
right? You got it.
that has certain ways of being able to access funds in that role. It probably wouldn't be a housing builder. My experience with some of the others, my counterpart land trust in Ketchum Sun Valley is named Arch. And Arch works with its local housing authority. They solve the land trustee problem. How do you keep an organization here for 99 years to honor the lease? They immediately transfer the title to the housing authority. And so the housing authority owns all the land and Arch owns nothing. Arch just builds houses. I would expect that we'd see similar sorts of relationships would happen. The housing authority would get access to money that I can't access, and they would buy land, and then they would go out to bid to find a developer who would build affordable houses to their price criteria. And I might be the middleman in that, and there'd be actually a contractor swinging the hammer. But so it's not a competitor to what I'm doing. It is potentially an assist to what I'm doing.
Because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I was pleased that Kathy was trying to advance the idea.
A lot.
Mhm.
All right, anyone else? Got anything, any more questions? Well, thank you. We appreciate you coming.
You bet, Dennis.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, I guess we'll move on to reports for the transportation report.
The Transportation Commission meets tomorrow at 4:00 here. And
I could have told you that.
I think the principal conversation is going to be with the local bus people, talking at least partly about their efforts to come up with funds for a Pullman-Moscow connection.
Oh, wow. That'd be interesting.
Maybe they can get Amazon to pay for it.
Yeah, just take them while they're delivering. Okay, so that's it. Upcoming events. Looks like we are going to cancel our next meeting potentially, yeah? And then meet again on October 9th. Right? A ways
Correct.
away.
Yep, that's right.
See, any other announcements or anything?
Nothing from staff.
Okay, well, anyone else got anything? Okay, we will adjourn the meeting then, I guess. Thank you guys for coming.
Okay.